maybe some tips that you have, like just that you find, generally speaking, are good to maybe drive home with us runners who are kind of stubborn.
Oh yeah, that's
mules.
Don't be stubborn.
Don't
That's my tip.
Don't be stubborn. Don't
Yeah,
be a pain in the ass. Hello, and welcome to Runnah, running on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and beyond. I'm Juliana, your host. Back again. Here we are, friends. And this week, we have a very special guest. As normal, we always have many special guests, but I'm excited to have you. This is, pronounce your last name again, Ed.
Regner.
Regner. I was going to say Redner for some reason.
Yeah.
Ed Regner, doctor of physical therapy. Welcome, Ed.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
This is an honor.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you, Ed.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah, like I said, or in our conversation earlier, you are the first physical therapist to be on Runnah.
Again, another honor. I think they go hand in hand more often than they don't, like physical therapy and runners.
Yeah, I mean, runners definitely have a love-hate relationship with physical therapy.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
I don't want to say physical therapists have a love-hate relationship with runners.
I think you probably do.
Secretly we do.
I don't think it's much of a secret.
Yeah, I think that's. I always felt fortunate that I am a runner as well.
Yeah.
Being a PT, and that I can relate to the, the craziness that we go through and the things that we do and things we have to do. That's sometimes if like your therapist isn't a runner. They don't.
It's not the easiest. Yeah, I mean, anytime I've gotten a physical therapist, including you, which we'll talk about that, who is a runner, I just have such a sigh of relief. Yeah. Because I'm like, okay, they're going to get it. Like, because I feel like half the time when I've worked with physical therapists who aren't runners, they're like, you should just take a day off, Julia. And I'm like, I don't think, no.
Yeah.
Like I go to a doctor's office and they're like, just take a week off. I'm like, okay. I don't know if that's going to help.
Yeah, I'm just going to nod.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, right.
And then when they come back to the office and they ask me if I took a week off, I'll say,
Yeah.
I did indeed. And they're like, well, why didn't it get better? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, right, because your recommendation didn't help.
I'm not guilty. Don't look at me.
No, I think, that's probably, sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I think that's probably the biggest difference of having a runner therapist versus a therapist who isn't a runner. Is that understanding is the last thing what you tell a runner to do is to stop running.
Yeah, and just stop being physically active. Because for a lot of people, I'm always just floored by how unrealistic doctors, just recommendations are sometimes.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, oh, don't move your ankle, Julianne. I'm like, okay, so even if I don't run, I live in an apartment on the second floor. I have a dog that I have to walk. I have to get to my car to get to work. I have to do all these other things. Do you think I'm just going to sit in bed for a week and not do anything? Me and my dog are just like, my dog's going to go poop on the floor for the whole week. I'm not even going to go to the bathroom. I'm just going to live in this bed for a week.
And then I'm going to be magically better because I didn't move my body that was built to move. I get it. And that's actually why I do the mobile physical therapy. I go to people's homes. I think it's super important to see the person's setup and see, oh no, they really do have to move. They really have to go down these stairs to let the dog out and all that stuff. And because we can just hide behind our clinics and tell you these blanket statements, and it's not really pertinent to the person's real life. And then
if you're in a clinic where it's at ground level and it's just like an easy in and out, and it's pretty much wheelchair accessible. You could get away without doing stairs if you are living in the clinic. Yeah. So I don't think anyone's living in the clinic.
I feel like I lived in the clinic a little too long. Yeah, that's why I got out and did the mobile thing. I just like seeing people's environments, and that's kind of why I'm here, wanted to sit down with you, just meet people where they're at and meet you here and
which I think is something that's definitely very admirable from you, Ed, and definitely something that I think is going to be like a definitive factor when people choose to work with you versus maybe choosing a different physical therapist or just choosing modalities of how they're going to get treatment and things like that.
Yeah.
But before we dive into that,
sure.
Let's start out with the Ed origin story of running. Where do we start running? Did we start as a wee babe? Did we start as like an adult? Like what?
So I started as an adult. I started after physical therapy school. I was a soccer player growing up.
Okay.
Yeah, so like running.
Some kind of running involved.
Yeah, I was like the fast one. I was. And so my coworker was my first job. My actually second job out of school. He was an amazing marathoner. He was actually my classmate in PT school.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't really know much about distance running and anything. So when we were classmates, I never followed his career. I went to the University of Buffalo. He was on the cross country team and the track team. And I didn't realize, actually, like one of our tests. I remember he was like really tired during it, like almost like falling asleep during a test that we had.
Did he do like a 23-mile long run or something?
He ran the Philadelphia Marathon like the Sunday before that, like the day before it.
Yeah, that'll do it.
And he came in like 7th overall.
Wow.
Yeah. He like ran like a 2:30.
Wow.
Something like that. I don't know, maybe like that's top 10 maybe. I don't know.
Your girl Juliana over here. We're never gonna run that fast.
Yeah,
but you know, hey, we can still have a fun time.
I had no. Yeah, I'm never breaking 3 hours. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But he was a heck of a runner, and he asked me if I wanted to do an ultra trail race, like a.
Did you say yes to this?
Like a relay, so just a two.
Oh, a relay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he was like, he ran a full, I ran a half.
Okay.
To do it, so he trained me for that. I thought as a soccer player that was going to be no problem, but
yeah, it's easy, right?
Oh my gosh, that first, we started with 3 miles, and I couldn't finish 3 miles nonstop.
Yeah, you get humbled pretty quick in those first days.
Yeah, and it was, and then I got the bug, when I couldn't, give me something I couldn't do, and I was like, well, I'm gonna be able to do it. And then we ended up winning the race because he was because of him.
Fast.
Yeah, because of him. And then
I was there for partial moral support, partially for just like making sure he didn't have to do the whole thing.
Exactly. Funny story. The next year we ran it again. We did win that. We did win it again, but he cramped up after 20 miles.
Oh, did you have to pick it up?
So I had to pick up the last 6 again after running my half. I had to pick up the last 6, and we ended up winning, but.
This seems to happen in relays a lot.
Yeah.
We're going to have Dr. Bob on the show, who's a chiropractor.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
But Bob lives in my head as the person who did an accidental half marathon because he was on the same Cape Cod Marathon relay team as me, and our person didn't show up for the second half of for the very last leg.
Oh no.
And so he had ran like 6.5 miles, and the last leg is about 6.5 miles.
Yeah,
and that person wasn't there. And so he was like, well, I just got to take it to the end. And I learned the other day that it was actually his first half marathon ever. I was like, wow, that's kind of fun, Bob.
Sign up for a full now. Right, yeah. You're ready.
But that seems to happen with relays where people like just either they can't complete the leg, they don't show up to the exchange point in the correct time, and you're just like, okay, well, this is an accidental ultra today.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing with running. It never, not never, but often doesn't go as planned, and you just got to pivot and.
Yeah.
And like I said, understanding that is you can only do it to understand it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important for you as a physical therapist too.
Yeah.
Specifically is working with runners and golfers. We'll shout out the golfers.
Yeah,
too.
I do love golf.
Yeah.
When I'm not running.
Which is something that I know nothing about golf. I'm so clueless. I played Top Golf with my best friend like a couple months ago.
Oh yeah.
I'm awful.
I haven't been there. It's still fun. That's one where
we had a
you
nice
can be
time, though.
Top Golf. You can be not good at golf and have a good time.
Yeah. I mean, neither of us are good at golf in any capacity, so we were just kind of hitting it. And there was like a Sonic game that we could play on it, and I was this is fun.
What about putt-putt?
Yeah. I'm a big fan. I mean, especially living on the Cape here, you got to
play golf. You have to be good at. I feel mini golf.
Or at least like passable. You know, you got to at least get it in with 7 strokes at a minimum. You know? It's like I don't know, but so you ran this semi-ultra half/trail race thing.
Yeah.
Got into running.
Yeah.
And then I know your first No, wait, no, it wasn't your first marathon. Was your first marathon the Cape Cod Marathon? Or
no,
was
that was my last at the time.
At the time
that we met, yeah.
Yes, because you've run another marathon.
I did one.
Recently.
I got back into it last year, so I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, the White Mountains last year.
Oh yes, that's very exciting. So, what kind of put you in the position to run marathons? Was it just because you had gotten to the point where you're kind of already running that mileage?
Yeah. I think I was doing the half marathons. I probably did like 6 or 7 after that, after those like trail races, and then it was just okay. What next? And that daunting task. I mean, I already had the mentality before that I could never run a half.
Yeah,
and then I did, like, oh, okay. Right? Yeah. So it always irks me when people their first race is like a full, like they don't.
That's a wild choice to make.
Yeah, and I've met a lot of people who have done it, and I'm like, it's not how I did it, how I would do it, but I don't know how you do it. People do it. Yeah.
Yeah, my friend Ben, who has been on this podcast, he is kind of in that camp of like. He started his 50-mile race training this week. That was, I was mentioning kind of improving to a little bit.
Yeah.
But went from running not that many miles to just like banging out a 20-miler in one day.
Yeah.
And then ran like another 20 yesterday that I was part of. I didn't run another 20 yesterday.
Oh, good.
But I ran like 10. So it's like for half of it. But
still impressive.
If I did that, my body would be disintegrated. If I went from like 0 to 60 that quickly. I
mean, so as a PT, like I just can't.
Yeah, it doesn't
promote that. Yeah, I can't like. I don't understand how people can do that, but people do it.
I don't know how they do it. Like my marathoning history, I think kind of similar to yours. It's just been like a gradual build of like, oh, I can't run a 5K, and then running it, and then being like, oh, I can't run a 10K, and then running it, and then like, oh, I can't run a half, and then. Just like gradually over time,
steps,
building up that strength and confidence and that ability that your muscles have to take you that far. But I don't understand the people who just go out there and they're like, oh, I'm just going to go like run like 50 miles. And I'm like, you have fun.
Yeah, right. Isn't that how Dean Karnazes got his start?
Probably.
I think like honest. He was like.
There are a lot of like, in retrospect, I know like in their time like icons, but like people who were really big running names. Maybe in like the 50s and 60s and 70s, who were reckless with their running. Just like, they're like, I'm going to run fast, I'm going to run for 20 miles, and like, I don't really care. And just like going out there and just being so like slapdash and reckless about the way that they ran.
And I think the cool part about all that, as much as I don't relate to that process and that, that mind frame, but like, I think it does show how different, how resilient, how there's so many different ways to do something, that there isn't this textbook way of what to tell someone to do. Yeah.
Which I think is kind of the other side of the coin, which in my head is popping in the 20-mile long run kind of rule, more or less, where people are like, oh, I only goes up to 20 miles before a marathon. And people like think that is like the Bible that you have to live by. Where I'm like, no,
go beyond.
Like this is just, I'm not a certified coach in any capacity. Don't trust this. But my understanding of the marathon, having done a decent amount of them at this point, that last 10K is kind of spicy. It can be a good spicy, it can be a bad spicy, it can be an indifferent spicy.
Yeah, but it's definitely spicy.
It's definitely spicy. And my recommendation to people is like, if you're going to stop running, if your longest long run is going to be 20 miles, walk it out for another 2 or 3 afterwards. At least like you can walk it, but at least go another 2 or 3 miles afterwards so you can feel what that fatigue feels like in your muscles.
I 100% agree. I think you and I have talked about that. Like you can't race a distance you haven't completed yet.
It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, I almost can say like, okay, if you like stop a mile short in your training, but those 6.2 extra miles, because that 0.2
it's that
is
0.2 that
the
kills you.
worst.
It's you can see it and it's right there, and you're like, especially at certain finish lines, like it's just even worse. Like, have you run Boston?
I've run it by myself in training.
Okay.
The whole start to finish.
Okay, so you understand like how far it is from the last turn actually getting through the finish line area.
Oh, totally.
Like you're like, oh, I'm right there, and then you're still running.
You're not right there.
You're still running.
Yeah.
And then you're still running, and then you're still running, and you're like, how is the finish line not getting any closer?
Yeah. Right. How's it getting further, and I'm getting closer to it?
Am I moving backwards? Like, did I stop? Like, what's happening?
Who keeps moving it?
Yeah. It's.
I agree.
Yeah, it's an odd mentality that it's kind of, I think, as a nutritionist and dietitian, like as my background, kind of like the sentiments where people are like, oh, bananas are high in potassium, and then I'm like, yeah, but cantaloupes are higher. And they're like, why are bananas not like the highest potassium food? I'm like, that's just because someone somewhere along the line, like was trying to, like the USDA had an overstock of bananas or something, and they were trying to sell them, and they realized this was the best way to do it. And it's kind of like apple of the day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah. Or breakfast is the most important meal. Did I hear that?
That can be, honestly,
was a myth.
I wouldn't say it's the most important meal. I'd say it's equally weighed out.
Sure.
Eating consistently throughout the day is probably your best bet.
Yeah.
To be honest. But there's just a lot of like weird like isms that have kind of found their way into different niches and also the general public. And I feel like that 20-mile long run rule is just one of them that
definitely
maybe needs a revision at some point.
Yeah, I'd like to. I mean, and I don't know. I guess I'd say, is it research? Is there data to prove that?
Yeah, see, I don't even know, and I feel like most people who are abiding by that rule also don't know.
Right,
they also are clueless.
And that's kind of my approach to everything in life is, and definitely in physical therapy is, and I think a lot of people take to it, and a lot of people don't, or some don't. Of like, I've learned what some of the isms are, and the kind of like dogmatic practices, and just trying to stay up to date on the research. And you realize not only are some of those not proof, like there's no proof that those are actually true. There's actually proof that they aren't true. Right? But it's still hard to get people to change. Yeah.
Well, again, we come back to the banana being like the highest potassium food kind of thing. And like you can clearly lay out like, have you looked at cantaloupe? Have you looked at honeydew melon? How about some spinach, you know? And people are like, no. And you're like, but
bananas are cheaper.
Yeah. Or they're like, no, but that's definitely like that one is the one for me. And I'm like, I mean, it can be the one for you, but science, you know,
but like
it's a thing.
It is. It's hard to it's hard to sell science sometimes, but
people want to believe what they want to believe, and I'm sure that's a big challenge. Just knowing how it was for me being a dietitian with people. I feel like you're kind of pitching a similar product more or less to people, where it's a 100%. Lifestyle change.
100%, and it's not even like only just like that. The science is this is what the science says. I like to just treat the person, right? Yeah. It's like no blanket statements for anything. And even with science proving something, it doesn't prove it that it's 100% accurate with 100% of the people.
No,
so.
Yeah, I always like to tell people too that also a lot of the scientific research we have is done on straight white men.
Yeah, I would believe it. I don't know. But,
well, if you look at some of the older studies too, a lot of the exclusionary criteria is specifically aimed at like saying there can't be ladies part of this, but not saying it directly.
Right.
And also making it so there's just a harder time for people of any other like ethnic or diverse background to like or gender identity to be a part of these studies.
No, that's a great point. And I think that does influence, so much, and skews data and all that stuff. So
and also, you know how studies are too, being funded by certain
right.
Like it's like, of course, the study funded by Kellogg's is going to find that cereal is beneficial as breakfast in the morning. It's funded by Kellogg's.
Yes, that's what I thought. I thought it was like a cereal company that said breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, it probably was. Probably a Kellogg's or like a post-funded study or something, or Nestle.
Well, yeah.
So
that's why I stick with smoothies.
Yeah,
Those are good breakfast.
No one's funding Big Apples or like big
bananas.
As much as we just kind of shamed bananas a little bit, like no one's funding big bananas.
Yeah.
Like it's the USDA gets very little funding into fruits and vegetables.
I will fund bananas for breakfast and apples, and
you can be behind Big Banana. Be in the USDA lobbying for bananas. Ooh,
bananas. They definitely don't get the shout out that the sugary stuff does.
No, there's not some like catchy tune that goes along with eating bananas and like a really fun commercial.
Hey, as musicians, as a songwriter and a vocalist, we can come up with something.
Yeah, which is something that's just so funny. And like obviously I didn't know about you until the other day when we were talking about that.
Yeah.
You went to college for was it music production?
It was like contemporary writing and music production was the major. Yeah.
What was the goal when you went into college with that?
The goal going to music school was to become a better musician and learn learn the almost like the science of music. I that's how I always looked at it. Because I could play, I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, that's what composition is
basically
science of music, essentially. That's what I would say.
Yeah. You learn how much it is mathematical in a lot of ways. But then, so that profession or that major was actually, it's kind of like jingle writing, like so to write songs about big bananas and big apples and all that stuff. Yeah. So I never ended up doing that, and I think the goal was to be like the musician in the background. I remember my teacher. It was a great example of like in one class she said, "Can anybody whistle the Simpsons theme song?" Don't ask me to do it right now because on the top of my head I can't think of it.
I can't think of it.
Yeah. If anyone can, like, go for it. So whistle that song, and then when we were done, and she said, "Now, who can tell me who wrote that song?" And nobody could.
Yeah, no one.
Yeah, and I thought that was a great thing. Like, the person who wrote that probably is a
no-name.
Like no-name multi-millionaire songwriter.
It's someone who has a Porsche and then walks into the supermarket and no one has any
100%.
idea who they are.
And I was like, I want to be that person.
Yeah. I think that's probably the best way to be rich, is by being rich by something that your face is not associated with. Or like your name isn't even associated with in the large population. So you can walk around and do whatever. You don't have to be a Taylor Swift where you can't go to like anywhere without people calling you out. But you still roll in cash.
Yeah,
which
right.
Would be a nice
and
time.
Actually probably more, because like it's the creators that make more of the royalties.
Well, yeah, because you have all the rights, essentially, I would hope, to whatever you're creating.
Yep. So that was the goal.
Okay. Be like some kind of writer for some kind of big
music production. Jingle writing. Sorry, just a fuzzy.
We got some fuzzies.
Yeah, that was just
some fuzzy buddies.
It wasn't falling. It was just staying right there.
It's like woo.
But yeah, I never panned out. I did a couple of things after school.
Yeah.
But then family and career and all that stuff.
Having to actually make money and not just waiting on that one jingle to hit just right.
Yeah.
Turn into the Filet-O-Fish song and just everyone be singing it for the rest of their life.
Maybe does Runnah have a jingle?
I don't have a jingle. My best friend actually wrote our theme music.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
I got to hear it.
Yeah, it'll be at the beginning and the end of this episode.
Oh, great.
And they wrote and produced it for me, which is fantastic.
Yeah,
so we have original theme music. But I would love to have a jingle. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Throw me some lines that we can just repeat that sticks in your head. Yeah.
We'll think of something. I'll brainstorm it later and see if there's anything that pops into my head. Because as you noted, like, I have a musical-ish brain, too.
Yeah, I'm intrigued about that.
Yeah, I mean, we won't go too deep into it because this episode's about you, but I almost went to school for music, for singing, because I was in a lot of, and people who have watched the show before probably have heard me speak of, like, being the witch in Into the Woods and, like, being in the theater programs and,
nice.
Every single choir that was available to me, I was in. And I was taking voice lessons and everything.
Great. Yeah, so do you sing when you run?
Actually do, I really enjoy singing when I'm running.
That's great.
Right now, we've been banging it. I listen to a lot of EDM when I run.
Oh, yeah, that'll get you going.
Yeah. But, like, I know the song. It's funny because when I went to Disney World last, I was sitting on the plane, and I was next to all these kids that very much so looked like they would go to an EDM concert, like, you know, like teenage stoners almost.
Sure.
And they were going to some kind of EDM concert that was down there. And they're talking to each other, and I look like this. Like, I'm just like wearing like running clothing for the most part. I'm a little bit older than them. Like, I don't like I'm not someone who they would like actually like just turn around and talk to. They're talking to each other, and I know every single artist they're talking about because I just like I listen to that music all the time. But I don't look.
You didn't chime in.
I didn't. Well, I was like, I don't feel like I'm welcome in this conversation.
Yeah. Ask them which marathons they ran.
Yeah, so what marathons have you run while listening to all these EDM artists?
Yeah, no, I listen to EDM when I run too.
Yeah, I love it. Right now, I mean, Lady Gaga's Abracadabra kind of slaps hard. But
okay.
Right now, we got, what else? We have Party People. I have to remember the artists. I don't know. I have Juliana's Running Bangers if you wanted, Ed. Yeah,
send me the list. Send me some artists. And
Or if anyone else wants it too, it's a 15 to 16 hour playlist that you can just put on shuffle. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to run.
Yeah, well, with the mileage, what'd you do? 73 miles last week.
Like
you need that much. Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully this week will be even higher. We'll see.
Gotcha.
But getting back to physical therapy and like transitioning from being a musician, what was the connection? Like, obviously, we went to college for music production. Wasn't really working out. Why pivot to physical therapy?
Well, so it's actually the other way around.
Oh, okay.
I went to physical therapy school.
Yeah, back it up and reverse it.
Yeah. Reverse engineer this. I was a musician in high school. Came out with a couple albums, solo piano songs that I wrote.
You have albums too, Ed?
Yeah, I mean, relatively famous, as in famous with my relatives, basically.
I like the way, that's a good way to put it.
That's what one of my relatives said back in the day. You're like relatively famous.
I've never actually heard that.
Yeah. He's like, you're famous with all your relatives, which was true in my like community. Wanted to become a musician. My parents were like, you might want to do a stable career major first, and then you can always go back to it. And that's what happened. Was PT, and then graduated, and then like 5 years later, I missed being a musician, and so I knew if I was going to get back into it, I knew what it took to like be at a really high level of musicianship.
Yeah. And
I didn't have time to work full time and devote all that time to being a better musician,
which is understandable,
right? And it was so I was the big like hard decision. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna have to give up my career for a little bit, and if I'm gonna do that, it's gonna be a big jump. So that's why I applied to Berklee, and I was like, if I get into Berklee, or if I apply, I'm probably not going to get in. And at least I said I tried, and I really auditioned just to go for the experience of auditioning for a big school.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately got in. Like, not unfortunately, but just like I didn't plan to get in.
Yeah, well, in your bank account probably think it's a little bit unfortunate.
100%.
I too have gone. I don't have a doctorate, but I've gone through grad school and undergrad, and my bank account has been like, that is quite unfortunate for us, isn't it?
But you only live once, right? That whole thing. That was exactly, and it was in Boston. I was living in Charlotte, which was like 5 times cheaper than living in Boston.
I mean, honestly, like the only places that are more expensive are like New York and LA, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like Boston's like even...
honestly, in this economy, it probably could
be. On top, yeah.
We'd have to get the exact numbers on that bad boy, so I don't really know.
I literally felt like when I moved there, I was like, I feel like I'm giving them $5 and they're giving me $1 back for everything I did.
Probably.
Yeah.
You're probably giving them $5 and they're saying, hey, it was $6. Where's our extra dollar?
Yeah, or that.
That's probably what's happening.
Yeah. It was an eye opener, but did the 4-year program in like 2 years. So I was like, I can't afford to live here for like 4 years, so I gotta
bang that
that out like back-to-back semesters, including summers, and culminated. I graduated. I say like my claim to fame was not that it's my claim, but when I graduated, every year Berklee has like really big names in the music industry who they give honorary doctorate degrees to, along with the graduating class. And for my class, it was the Eagles and Alison Krauss.
Okay.
And so they like gave us our diplomas. They did our speech. Like we did a concert with them, for them. So that was like that. I always say like
that's kind of fun.
Yeah,
though.
The Eagles handed me my diploma. That was cool.
Yeah. You're allowed to say if that happened to you, go for it.
Yeah. I mean, every time Hotel California is on the radio, I do sneak that story in there.
Yeah, you're relatively famous.
Yeah. So that's it. That was the end. That was basically the end of that. I still play just for fun, but
yeah. As you should. And if you get like YouTube stuff up and running, you never know. You could get things rocking and rolling.
There are some hidden gems on YouTube. Just got to find them.
Okay.
Of the piano, me and the piano.
Okay. Is that our preferred instrument of choice? Is the piano?
Yeah.
I feel like that's good for a composer because you can play across pretty much every single key on the piano.
Yeah, you can definitely write for all the instruments. It got to a point that I forgot that I played the piano because I was writing for so many other instruments and vocals. Oh, yeah, all the classes were like writing for big band, orchestra, vocals, a cappella. And I was like...
God, especially like orchestra and big band. That's so many instruments.
Oh my gosh.
I forget how my instruments are like in an orchestra until I see an orchestra live, because I love going to see orchestras.
Yeah. Super.
And then I'm like, oh yeah, there's some like weird ass
the euphonium.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, someone plays that thing.
Right, and it's crazy when you're at that school and you see people who have to carry that thing to class. I was like so fortunate that I was just a piano player, so I just brought my hands and the keyboards were in the classrooms.
Oh yeah, when I was in high school, especially, because that's when people got a little bit spicier about their instrument choices.
Yeah.
The band and the chorus were very much intertwined. Like not only in the fact that we had connecting rooms, but like there was a lot of cross-pollination when it came to who was in band and who was in chorus.
Oh yeah,
it's all the music nerds.
Could you be both?
Oh yeah, you can definitely be both.
Yeah.
We had a ton of people both, but we had like two specific people who stick out in my mind. One person who bought a cello.
Oh.
So we had Andrew, who was walking around with his cello all the time.
I love the cello though. Yeah.
And then we had one guy with a giant tuba.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, you
guys carry that.
I was like, you guys made some life choices here.
Yeah, that's a choice. Yeah,
those are commitments right there. Like a flute or a piccolo, you can put that in your back pocket and carry it with you. A cello, no.
But they laid down the low end for the whole band. Yeah.
I mean, it's gorgeous. And this guy Andrew, who played the cello, was also in the theater department with us. Like he was in the plays. Yeah. And so he would just come in and play the cello sometimes. So I'd be like, oh, this is really nice.
I love the cello. Andrew, if you ever want to collaborate, like cello and piano is such a great.
I'm assuming he probably plays some kind of instrument still. This is a guy who is like super eclectic. So.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that was surprising in music school. Like I thought I was pretty good at the piano, and just how many people were beasts on like 6 different instruments and could sing. And I was like, it's a pretty humbling experience. Yeah.
You're like, oh.
Yeah. I'll go back to physical therapy.
But, okay, so let's pivot back into physical therapy.
Back to physical therapy, yeah.
Now that we've connected on a musical level, which I think is
perfect.
I think is needed.
I was looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So, physical therapy. So we become a doctor of physical therapy.
Yeah.
And currently, you're working with runners. Have you always specialized in working with runners and golfers?
Throughout my career, no, not always. I'd say I'd always specialized working with athletes.
Okay.
But definitely when I became a runner, and I would, so some runners would just tell their runner friends, go see Ed because he's a runner.
Yeah. Which is definitely a thing. Like it's if people
yeah.
don't think that the other runners know who the running physical therapists are, we know. It's Ed.
I'm one of them. And yeah, it's great. And I it's because a lot of the treatments that I do, I get it from my education and continuing education and being a physical therapist, but a lot of it you get from being a runner. Right, just like personal experience and
you know how it feels to be out there at like mile 20 of a marathon and be like, oh crap, my calf is cramping up.
Correct. You know how to change your cadence, and because that, and I talked about that a lot at that little workshop I did.
At the Run House.
And it's to try and tell that to somebody if you don't know how to do it yourself, and try to get someone to do it, it's hard.
Yeah, it's hard to know things you don't know, I guess. Like
correct.
That was a really broad way of saying.
I know.
It's hard to know things you don't know.
You did it very well, because I was like, oh man, that's going to take me a second to process. I'm not going to get it, but no, you're right. You're 100% right.
I try to be okay with my interviewing skills. Sometimes better than others,
Yeah, no, you're great. That's what I think about, like being a PT and a runner. It's just it's very personal experience, and bringing personal experiences into it, and it just gets a different result.
I'm sure people feel more seen. I know when I'm working with someone like yourself, that's how you and I met, Ed, I was going through a weird little ankle thing, training for the Tokyo Marathon, which I did complete last year, which is fun.
Super jealous.
It was a lot of fun.
I saw pictures,
I'm just like, the Tokyo Marathon is actually happening this Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Which is our Saturday, their Sunday, because of the time
difference. Right. They're in the future.
Yeah, they're about 12 hours in the future.
Yeah.
But which was interesting for me, because when I was over there, I would be doing things during my day versus here's night. And then I would go to sleep, and I would wake up to like 500 text messages and notifications, because everyone had lived the day. Like I had lived the day already, and then they were living the day after I was asleep.
Totally.
And I was like, okay, it was kind of just like a weird playback situation happening, and I was like, okay.
My family's from the Philippines, all in the Philippines, and so New Year's Eves I used to you're like they're in the future, like they're in the next year.
Yeah, they text you New Year's Eve at like noon.
Yeah.
And you're like, it's not.
Yeah,
New Year's.
they're always the first ones to say happy birthday on Facebook to me.
Yeah,
it's like the day before.
Yeah, because you're like in your head, you're like, wait, it's not my birthday, but the other thing,
they're
like 12 to 13 hours ahead of me.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There it is, my birthday. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so we met because I was training for that.
Yep.
As most runners do, having some issues with my calves and my ankles, you know. And you were working at Bay State Physical Therapy at that point in time. Yeah. Before you started to Drive Physical Therapy, which is your personal business.
It is.
Very exciting. But yeah, it makes a big difference when you have someone who is a runner, who is your physical therapist, who you're working with. Yeah. Because you just you get it.
Right.
You understand.
Yeah. Like, was it like when I said it on your first visit, you know, I think we were talking about just even the Cape Cod Marathon.
Yeah, even just like the discussion. I know we talked about shoes a good amount because obviously everyone knows here I'm a shoe nerd. You can check out my other
yeah.
I'm also known
as her area.
Yeah. I've also been coined as the shoe eating monster.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can destroy a pair. I run with the weight of a 500-pound man. I don't look like it, but I like destroy
You're heavy, like heavy landing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you can hear me coming too.
Yeah,
like,
cool.
It's like,
I was just told that about myself too. I thought I was a light lander, but I ran with somebody a few months ago and they're like, oh, you're...
I can tell by looking at people's shoes who's a princess runner and who's not. Yeah. There are very princess runners out there who are like, who's like feet like just like barely skim the ground. Just that is not me.
Skimming the ground.
No. Me and the ground make full contact. It's a full contact sport.
Right. Get your money's worth.
Yeah. That's why I've recently started buying some of my shoes used too, because like I just blow through them so quickly. It's not worth paying like full price for.
Oh, interesting.
You can get some good. We'll do a whole episode at some point about how to buy used shoes.
Yeah, I got to tune in on that.
I'm gonna use the word used lightly too, because there's a lot of times where you can find shoes, and I have like fully brand new, just at a really high discount because people are cleaning out the closet.
Wow.
And they're like, oh, I have this pair of shoes, and they have no idea what shoe it is, but you know what shoe you want. So.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll have
very cool. Yeah,
we're definitely gonna have a whole episode.
That just
on
blew my mind.
Yeah. So, but if you are looking for a specific shoe, you shoot it over to me before you buy it. I'll see if I can find it.
So my Hey Dudes would not cut it on the running.
I mean, you can run in Hey Dudes if you'd like.
You could, yeah.
You can run in whatever you want. There's some kid who runs the Falmouth Road Race, and I guess has done it since he was allowed to. So I think he was like 12. In flip-flops every single year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you've seen those people, too, who run barefoot.
Well, right, exactly. You really... Well, when you look at, like, the history of running, they all wore Chuck Taylors the entire time.
Yeah, or, like, the really early version of the Pegasus, which is literally just, like, a piece of foam on the ground.
Yeah.
Like, that has nothing in it.
The discussion on shoes goes forever. Yeah.
Yeah, but we'll kind of table that because I could sit here forever
Another
and
episode.
talk about shoes. But yeah, so it was just nice to have someone who like gets it, like gets the fact that like shoes are part of the equation. Like what you're training for makes a big difference. Are you running a trail race? Are you running a road race? Like what's the distance that you're training for?
Yeah.
Your running history also makes a difference too. Is this like the first time this has happened? Is this not?
Yep.
And I guess you can probably, if you'd like to speak to like what is it like working with runners, and what do you find is important when you are working with people who are running or identify as runners?
What's it like to work with runners?
Obviously, you like it at least a little bit.
It's definitely preferred. I get excited when I get a runner as a patient because I just like to talk shop and like find out what races they've done and how do they train, and just talk about some of the pains and sufferings of runners who, we love to commiserate. To commiserate with them.
Misery loves company.
I think, wow, that is a great question. I feel like I should have had an answer prepared for that one.
You can think about it for a second if you want to move on to the next question.
No, I mean, I think the big thing is like we were talking about how stubborn they are, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the trick. That's kind of the art of being the therapist. There is navigating the personality and the mind frame that they're in, while knowing like I know what I need to tell them to get them better. They probably don't want to hear it, but I think being a runner, I can empathize and relate, and so so it's cool to be able to do that, to like get through to them, where I just feel if I wasn't a runner, I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't know what to say to get them to believe me, right?
Or the door would be closed. They'd be like, no.
The buy-in and the understanding. So that's probably, not an exciting answer, but
I think that's a good answer, though.
It's the realistic answer. Yeah, just relating.
I mean, I know when I have, like we talked about, a physical therapist who is a runner. If you tell, like, second that they tell me that they're a runner, like, my whole body is like dehisses. I'm like, oh, good, I don't have to have this conversation or this like fight with this physical therapist about like them being like, well, why are you running? It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Or like the whole people being like, oh, well, I wish I could run, my knees, and you're just like, okay,
right, yeah.
Like this, I thought I was here for my physical therapy, not your counseling session. So I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that's definitely.
Which is not necessarily a physical therapist thing, but that's more of just like a general running thing. Like where if you're a runner and you tell someone that you are, and they're like, and even if you're just like, they ask you, they're like, oh, well, I wish I could run. It's like,
yeah, you can.
It's like, okay,
you're just not. Yeah.
You don't like, I mean, honestly, we've had some other guests on here who are like prime examples. Mary and Ruth Ann McManus, who Ruth Ann had post-polio syndrome.
Yeah, I saw that post. Yeah.
And Ruth Ann's had a lot of like challenges too.
Yeah,
and both of them like look like people you're like you would never assume that they were marathon runners, but these two ladies are out there killing it.
And inspiring, very inspiring. I saw that post. That was great.
Yeah, they're amazing and fabulous. But if you want to identify as a runner and you want to like take up running, whether it's running like 50 feet, whether it's running 50 miles, like you can do it.
Exactly.
Like unless you physically don't have a lower body. But then again, there's a lot of adaptive running too.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
There are a lot of things out there. So if you really want to do it, you probably can.
The biggest thing I learned in running world is you just cannot judge the exterior of somebody on performance or capability. And
there are some runners out there that like, one, I follow on social media, and two, who like are just presences in the community who really do not look like what a generic like runner looks like. Who are absolute tanks.
Yeah.
Like either they're people who can like just freaking haul ass.
Yeah.
And like there's this one guy I follow on Instagram who like you would never guess he runs marathons. Can run like a 2:35. And I'm like,
yeah, right, exactly.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And it's like this guy's like over 200 pounds. I'm like, I don't even know how you move that body that fast. I have no idea. And
they just train, and
then there are people who like there's the Myrnavator who's on Instagram. Her name is Myrna. She's come here for the Falmouth Road Race a couple of times too.
Yeah.
She runs 100-milers all the time.
Right.
And she's a mom of like 2 or 3 kids. Like she has like PCOS. Like she's a larger woman who like I know she gets a lot of hate online from people being like, you don't look like a runner, but this woman is amazing. She's like, it's just like, I think you're exactly spot on with that. Like
too much judging, and it's like, it's almost like maybe their insecurities that they're not doing it, so they take it off on somebody else.
What it is.
Yeah, something like that.
People projecting.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's what I love running. I mean, running. I do a lot of sports. Even as a piano player, like each activity that I do, I think teaches me a lot. But running has taught me the most. It's taught me so much about discipline, about humility, about drive. No pun intended, but just like guts and all that stuff. And it's just it doesn't matter your age, your gender, your size, your history. It doesn't matter.
You can be a runner.
Yep, you just start. If it's like run 100 yards. I some people who
or the walk-run method with like Jeff Galloway. I think it's like in his like 80s now. He's still freaking running marathons. Like, God bless his soul. He looks worse for wear.
He's probably still beating me.
I know. I mean, even like Frank Shorter and Bill Rogers who live in the area now. I'll see them periodically on the bike path. They're out there doing their thing. I say, good for you, my friends. We love it.
Just move. Yeah, I was running with a friend. Last year after I did my marathon, and I was like, it was in this stage of like kind of recovering, just light running.
Yeah, it's kind of chilling.
She didn't run. She wasn't a runner, but I'm sure you get it a lot too, where you run with someone who's not a runner, they're like intimidated to run with you.
Yeah, and you're like, no, it's fine.
Yeah, and like we would go. I think she could do like a 10 or 11 minute pace for like 100 yards at a time, right? 100 yards, and then we'd have to walk.
Then you take a walk break, then you get up again, and then you take a walk break.
Yeah, and I joined. Like I did that with her. Like didn't bother me at all. Like,
I think people also too, like just me kind of foraying into a little bit more like trail ultra running now. A lot of it is walking. Like there's a lot of walking and ultra running, like especially up hills. You're walking.
Yeah.
You're power hiking.
Yeah. That was kind of like something I was going to touch upon about like what, being a PT for runners, like what advice would you give?
Let's dive into that. Like what are some things that you would want to, some little bits of wisdom that you maybe like to impart on people, or themes that you kind of see come up over and over and over and over again that you would like to speak on?
Yeah, well, I mean, and I only brought that up because you just said it. Is that like sometimes less is more? Right?
Yeah.
If you've got to walk, like listen to your body is the biggest advice I would give, is listen to your body.
I think that's great advice.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like even textbook wise, I've injured myself. I've run probably when most medical professionals did tell me not to run.
I have definitely done that. As the owner of a GI surgery, oh baby, you bet I've done that. And I was trained for the New York City Marathon in the process of getting that emergency surgery. Mm-hmm.
And you were okay, and you made it through.
Yeah, right. You just have to know your body.
Right. You just got to run within yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's my advice. Is, there's probably some caveats, and I probably have to like work with you and see the situation. I always worry about giving blanket statements to.
I think paying attention to your body is a good blanket statement.
Yeah.
Though. I feel like I can't think of a single situation where like that wouldn't be part of the equation.
Right.
Like even just like breathing, like even just us sitting here listening to like what your body is telling you is still relevant and important.
100%. So. Yeah, that's my advice. It isn't like this black and white answer, or I think people are always looking for the black and white answers and solutions and fixes, and it's like everyone's so different, and the body is so resilient. It's so I always tell what I always say is like the best hospital is your body. It has what it needs to recover and take care of itself for the most part. But I think just everyone's different and
listen to your body.
Yeah, you don't have. It's not just like blanket stop running, right? It's try it. If it hurts, okay, maybe don't. Pain doesn't always mean stop.
Yeah, which I think is a big thing. And I think that also comes along with largely comes along with knowing your body. Yeah, what you can handle. I don't know if you saw the post I put up of everyone says no pain, no gain, like that whole moniker. And I heard this one time. It was like no pain, no gain in KNOW. For both ways, no pain, no gain.
You'll know gain. Yeah, if you know
the pain,
if you know your body and your pain boundaries.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, then you'll know gain. You'll realize gain.
I think that's a great way to put it. I mean, even just thinking myself this morning with my gait, like I'll kind of like kick my ankles sometimes when I'm running.
Yeah. People do.
Yeah, and so like even this morning I started running and my ankles felt tight. I was like, oh wait, no, that's just because I know I kicked myself the other day.
Yeah, because I'm kicking myself.
It's bruised. It's literally just like, and it stayed at that same consistent level at that exact spot that I know that because I run a lot. Yeah. Like I know that when I kick my ankle, that's exactly where it makes contact, and I get like a little bruise there.
Yeah, so you know where your pain is coming from, so it's less scary.
Yeah, right? It's not like, oh my gosh, my Achilles is going to explode on me or something.
I need surgery, I got to stop.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, okay, Juliana, you were trail running yesterday, and sometimes if like you step funny or whatever, like you end up kicking yourself in the ankle, and it's like you kicked yourself kind of hard. So we go home, we put the CBD cream on the bruise, and then we call it a day.
Perfect.
Big fan of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
fear avoided.
Yeah, it's definitely calming mentally when you're able to like KNOW know your pain and like know your body a little bit better.
Yeah.
Which I think just comes with time.
Yeah, that's why I say as a runner, you gotta understand. That's what I'm saying. No other sport do I listen to my body as much as I do with running.
Yeah, sometimes runners are a little bit too introspective, I feel like. We know ourselves too well, where we're like, no. I was off on that run because I ate exactly 1.5 grams extra of carbohydrates, and I need to like dial back down on that. I try to be
That's
as
impressive.
Yeah, I'm not that dialed in. Like I try to be as like fluid as I can with things and like understanding like the environment, which honestly it's like it's interesting for me to like know myself and know that like every other runner around me is probably taking in just as much data about themselves, and we just funnel it. It's not for the most part, for most people, it's not for anyone else's gain but our own. Like running is a very selfish sport, but it's also not in the same vein, but it is very selfish.
If you can let go of that and just run within yourself, I think that's the reward, right? Like just
you get to find some
be
joy.
Thankful that you crossed the finish line, and just and that's that discipline of
like you did it.
Yeah, I was running with another person not too long ago, and I was teaching her like. I don't know if I was teaching her, but like just the concept of like every run doesn't have to be faster than the run before, and that's the mentality she was under. And
that's what I thought when I first started running too. I was like, I'm supposed to be running faster and faster and faster, and then like as time has gone on, I get slower and slower and slower. But like I find more joy in running now than I did then.
And then you're gonna hurt yourself less. You'll be in less, but you'll need me less.
Yeah, I mean,
so
not that I don't like seeing it. Not being in pain is kind of a nice thing. Yeah, for the most part.
That's my advice to runners. It's like run within your my whole thing is hopefully you don't need me. Like I want to educate people and get the community to not be injured, right? And to not have, and so that they can be out there running and doing things. And so that's my advice. My blanket advice is like, if it's a slow day, then it's a slow day. Tomorrow could be a fast day. Yeah. But don't try and overdo. You know?
I mean, I always say, well, one, you can only run the mile you're in. That just means you can only be in this moment.
Yeah.
Which I also actually have tattooed on my arm right here.
Oh, wow.
That's in my mom's handwriting. But sometimes I like to joke that my arm is smarter than my brain. Sometimes we have days where our arm is smarter than our brain, and I can't just accept that I'm here and that I'm doing my things, that I want to be like cartoon style ejected out of the vehicle. And life doesn't let you do that.
Yesterday morning, I think my brain and my arm were both dumb in that I poured lemon juice in my smoothie instead of my tea. And that was a tough morning. So arm was not smart enough to
do that.
To sidestep that little snafu.
You're like, oh gosh.
Still drank it though.
Hey, I'm the same person too, where if like I burn food, I'm gonna eat it. Like
right.
I paid money for this, and like I can stomach it. I got this. I've eaten worse things in my life.
Yeah. Like, some runs are slow, some runs are fast, some meals are burnt, some meals are going to be delicious. Yeah.
You kind of just got to take the average of what's happening and just also like accept what's happening in the moment and enjoy the things that you can enjoy too.
Right.
Like even if you're having like a bad run, like maybe you got to, I'm always so thankful that I live down here in Falmouth too. Because even my worst runs, I get to be by the ocean, see these beautiful vistas.
100%.
And I'm like, even if this run didn't go exactly as I wanted it to go, I'm still in a better mood than when I left the house. Because one, I got some of that anxiety out of my system. I'm like that little hamster on the wheel that just needs to just like get that out of my body.
It's huge,
which is wild because when I'm distance running, like it depends on the day, like how far it is to get it out of my system. But I can actively feel my body like being like
relaxing.
Like it's just gotten enough of that out of its system where it's like, oh, okay, we're fine. I'm like,
what's your time of running like where
I usually, I'd say like recently it's been about 10 miles. Not every day, but like that's where I start to feel that more like Zen zone.
Okay, yeah.
Where I'm just like,
am I even running?
Yeah. I hit a good zone on my last 20-mile run. I hit like mile 19, and I like found myself just like zoning out. And I was just like in a good zone where I was just like thinking about something and zoning out and like not. And I just kept running, and I was like, I came back down. And I was like, wow, Juliana, that means your training's actually going okay.
Yeah, I love those moments where you're like, I don't think I'm thinking about anything.
Yeah, you're just kind of like there.
Yeah.
Which is great.
That's a nice time. Good spot to hit. Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely like it's not the easiest to reach that point, but working on it I think is the biggest thing. And it's never going to be a battle that you're going to win for good. Like, you're never going to have one run and all your other runs after that are going to be perfect.
Right.
Or you're going to like recover from one injury and then you're never going to get injured ever again.
That's what I say. I know a lot of times for when I have patients, they their goal is to like never have pain, like get out of that pain that they're having and make sure it never comes back. And
that's a very lofty goal.
It is a lofty goal. It's a great goal. And it's reachable. It's just not guaranteeable, right?
Yeah.
And so I think I try to tell people, like, when you're running marathons, and probably halves too, like very few of them are making it to that start line without some type of ache or pain, or making it through to the finish line without some type of aches or pain. So it's you got to normalize pain at some point.
If you ran a marathon and you weren't in pain at any point in time during that, what kind of robot are you?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's to say, like, pain isn't always such a negative thing that's going on. It's not fun, but it doesn't mean that something's definitely injured or damaged. Just a normal part of it.
It's kind of just like, I feel like running is a good metaphor, but also like real life experience for what life is.
I mean, I really don't know anything better sports wise.
Yeah. Because you're there for the long run. Like, you're going to get to the end. Yeah. Long run.
Gotcha.
And you just have to, if life was going to be perfect all the time, it would be so boring.
Yeah.
And if running was going to be perfect all the time, it would be so boring, and we'd all be dead to the world. Like, we'd all be like internally dead, because everything would just be like
predictable.
A nice like 60% pleasant, like 60 to 70. It'd be like 70 degrees with a light breeze and some rolling clouds every day, and you wake up, you kind of like, I don't know if you've seen the Barbie movie at all.
I actually just watched that with my daughters last weekend.
Okay, so in the Barbie movie, they all wake up every single morning and they're like, "Hi, Barbie," and everyone's just like going about doing their thing, and it's the same day over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So that would be boring. That would be uneventful, and I mean, honestly, know this, Ed, the best stories come out of the worst runs.
I never thought of it that way, but you're so right. Yeah.
Traumatic bonding experiences with a lot of people.
Yes, I have. We don't have enough time on the show for my stories. I'm sure you have twice as many as you've done.
I don't know about that.
Way more runs.
I mean, we'll get into it here on this show at some point, but like me and my GI issues.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole other episode.
Yeah. I was talking to someone the other day. I was like, I can tell you where the first like accident, like poop in the woods I took is.
Yeah.
Falmouth. And they're like, Juliana. I'm like, yeah.
Well, I was just telling someone.
I have irritable bowel disease, okay? I have had a colon resection,
Yeah. And that's the hardest part of running, especially marathon, is that it's not the run, it's the run.
Well, that's what I'm excited. Like, one of my favorite things, I think, and this is just a me experience potentially, about like foraying into trail running. I was like, I can go to the bathroom anywhere in the woods.
Yes.
There's no one else out here. I can take a shit in the woods wherever I want, as long as it's not directly on the trail. And no one can prove it was even me.
Which some people do.
I mean, I'm not going to be. Juliana's not going to be pooping in the middle of the trail, but unless it's a really an emergency. But like, I'm like, no, there's no one else out here. Like, and there's animals just doing their business out here. But it's just like, that's a different level of freedom. I think you got to either have built into your system already as someone who grew up in the woods camping and stuff like that, or just like learned, like level of comfort.
There are times during races, like when some things you see right during races, and you're just like,
what brought you to that point?
Yeah, like I just saw that happen, and like when I'm later on after the race and I'm hanging with my family or my friends, like
it comes back to you.
Yeah, you're like, what I saw today, you'll never see, because you have to run.
You have to run a marathon.
You have to run marathons to like see some of those things.
I think that's the marathon distance and above. I'm learning is that's where you really unlock the crazies.
Halves are really.
You can keep it together in a half long enough where like you can. I feel like
they're sane.
Yeah,
they're sane.
I feel like for me, the best way to describe this is the facade of the Disney marathon races. Kind of, you lose the facade at the full marathon because you can only keep up that level of like.
Right.
For so long, and I feel like the half marathon is kind of that cap, because once you start getting into like past the half marathon, you start getting into the point where like the facade of Mickey starts to not look quite as like shiny and bright anymore.
Yeah. enough of these ears.
Yeah.
Stop with the smile.
Yeah. It just like gets to the point of like, okay, things start to fall off the rails a little bit here.
I want Mickey to be crawling on the ground with me.
Honestly, that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, this
I want
isn't
someone
realistic.
actually running in the Mickey costume the entire way. Some kind of sadist who wants to.
In those shoes.
Yeah, in those terrible character shoes.
Oh my gosh.
That's someone who wants to die right there, especially in Florida.
That sounds like a challenge.
I'm sure someone will do it.
Yeah, I'm sure somebody looked that up. I'm sure it happened.
There's some guy who runs the Falmouth Road Race as a lobster every single year.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Well, and obviously, I'm sure you know the guy who ran as the clock tower from London at the London Marathon, the guy who got stuck going through the London Marathon.
Did I hear about that? I don't think I heard
It was a while ago, but there's a very funny video of this guy because
No.
he's dressed as the London clock tower trying to go through the London Marathon finish line, and it's low, and so he smacks into it, and he just falls backwards. It's hilarious. It's right along the lines of those people who are in that viral video where they're like, it's the perfect texture for running, and then they run a little bit down the street and they're like, and they slam on their backs. It's like,
I did that last week.
oh gosh,
dislocated my pinky. Well,
no.
I wasn't running, but I was walking my dog and slipped on black ice. Yeah. First time I've ever did that.
Yeah, I've had some falls on black ice. Me and black ice don't get along.
No.
Even when I've been trail running recently, when I go with Ben knows that the pace is going to go down to a crawl when we hit it up. Like, he'll just kind of like skeet across the ice, and I'm like, no. I'm
we're
walking around the ice.
We're going to add another half a mile so I can go around it.
Exactly. Yes, that is my mentality. I was like, I will not be taking an injury today.
Is there a good anti-slip shoe for running?
Honestly, the best thing for ice is to get ice spikes.
Oh.
Which you can get. I have ice spikes too. So.
But then you got to keep it on the whole time.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. It works better if you're like putting them on and then hopping onto a trail, because then the ground will absorb them.
Yeah.
Like the dirt will just like sink in.
Okay.
And then when you hit the ice, you can across the ice.
Oh yes, that's more grip.
But on the pavement, it's honestly painful on your feet.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Because they're like slamming into your feet.
So nothing good, nothing for like black ice on the road.
No, not
good
really.
Shoe for that, just go around it.
Honestly, if you got like a pair of like cross country spikes, probably like cross country running shoes, that would probably be your best bet. Honestly. Yeah.
My old golf shoes.
Yeah, things like pair of cleats, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
Or just wait for it to warm up a little bit.
Yeah, or like find a treadmill or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or an area you can run, but
the treadmill.
We're gonna do my new segment that we just started. You'll be the third person to do this, which is a segment I've kind of transposed from other social media I've done before.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do, what shoe do you choose to use? So, what shoe, Ed, is like it can either be like your favorite shoe of all time, it can be the shoe you're using right now.
Yeah, running shoe.
Running shoes.
Okay, not my Hey Dudes for casual walking. Okay.
Yeah. What shoe do you choose to use?
I mean, the one you guys recommended for me last year were fantastic. Do
you remember what
it was? The 880s, the New Balance 880s. Yeah, I haven't tried anything different than that, but I loved it. I bought 2 of them.
Yeah, and they've been going good?
Yeah, I love them. They were very, very comfortable. Was it the Max Foam or?
Yeah, it's got that.
Fresh foam.
Yeah, it's got the fresh foam. That's part of the fresh foam line from New Balance.
I do like a soft, like kind of a neutral shoe.
Mm-hmm. Which the 880 is great for that, especially if you have a little bit of a wider toe box. It's more of like a square build to it.
I was surprised that I was, labeled as having a wide. I always thought I had a narrow foot, but
New Balance is kind of like medium wide.
Okay,
it's like semi like if your foot is borderline, maybe sometimes you need a wide shoe and sometimes you don't, or you just have more of like a square toe box area that you prefer.
Yep.
New Balance has a very square toe box.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the comfort of it is where I
is great.
Where I I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't test out shoes like you do.
Yeah, you're not rolling through. You don't have a 30 shoe lineup. I got like 30 shoes I'm rolling through right now.
Yeah, I probably have like the problem of keeping shoes too long.
I feel like I have I'm in the minority of like having too many shoes to where I do that. I mean, for me, as someone who has chronic illnesses and stuff too, and like weird muscle issues, and also like prefers to be able to run outside in whatever the terrain is.
Yeah,
shoes are tools. They're tools for injury prevention.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're also tools for like safety a lot of the times. Mm-hmm. So, which is we'll do a shoe episode too at some point. Because that's going to be me sitting here by myself for like an hour.
I don't know if anyone
giving a dissertation
knows more about it than you. Like,
oh, there definitely are, but like I feel like in my circle of peoples, I'm usually the person who's like just by proxy worn a lot of shoes and just tries out a lot of shoes and enjoys trying out the shoes.
So, I see the post and I'm like,
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's a good time.
But they should sponsor you.
I've reached out. No one. They don't have any money for that. They're like, Julianne, we'd love to. Yeah. I did get some free shoes the other day though.
Oh, cool. Like
new ones, not used ones, which was nice. So, but yeah, so the New Balance 880 is our shoe we choose to use. For
right now, I guess I need to hit the store and see what else is out there. But for right now, I'm very comfortable with those shoes. Yeah.
They just updated the 880 too.
Did they? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I've tried that now. I don't know how to yet, so I really don't know. I've been told it's a little bit more bouncy and it's slightly more squishy. That's what I've been told.
Because I don't know if you remember, like the last shoes I had bought before that. Did
you have like an old pair of Mizunos or something?
They were old. They were Asics, but they were I can't remember the model, but they were from 2017. That was like when I bought them.
The Cumulus, maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
That's like their baseline.
Yeah. I mean, they're so long ago that store doesn't even exist anymore up in Plymouth, where I bought them.
Gosh.
But so it was such a big jump to the modern technology, because I think the 880s were like they had just come out.
Yeah.
When I got them, it was like January of 24.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it was like it was really, really exciting.
For you, this was like a mind-blowing experience.
It felt like I felt the difference, because a lot of times I was like, I don't know if I really it's a good shoe, like. No, it was
shoes feel
very different. Yeah.
I'll tell you, as someone who wears a lot of shoes, people they definitely feel different. And they have a lot of different properties to them.
Yeah. You
between like stability, cushioning, grip. Grip is a big thing too.
That's what I'm wondering.
Lugs when you get to a trail shoe, you know.
Yeah.
So.
I will defer to you and listen to you. You're the expert there, and.
I would not say expert, but knowledgeable.
Yes.
Knowledgeable in
we'll
shoes.
Go with that.
We'll say knowledgeable in shoes, but
I love it.
I'd be interested to put you in like some other shoes, Ed, because the 880 is probably the most vanilla shoe out there.
Is there anything else you look at other than my foot to decide what shoe?
Preferences, also wear patterns on the shoe, like where you're wearing out the shoe can be
like
indicative.
My running stride, like my mechanics.
Yeah, you'd want to look at your mechanics to see if you're pronating or not. Just to see if you need that level of support, and then also just like you want to when you're choosing a shoe too, like you want to choose a shoe that has enough like tread on it in the areas that you usually hit when you're running.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who is a heel striker and you pick up a shoe where like the tread only is in the front of the shoe, you're going to shred through that shoe in like 5 minutes, because there's no protection for that. And it's also going to just be probably too squishy, too fast.
Okay.
But a lot of it is just, and a lot of it's preferences, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, do you like a firm shoe? Do you like a squishy shoe? Do you want the shoe to be really bouncy? Do you want a lot of ground feel? Like,
I think it comes down also like listen to your body, like put it on.
That's what a big
listen to how it feels.
Like, I mean, like a big thing with me having all the different shoes is like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, I have to check in with myself. I'm like, Julianne, we're having a good ankle day, a bad ankle day, a bad hip day, a good hip day, and like today I ran into a stability shoe because my hips have been being a little bit funky, and like I'm like I need my Asics GT 2000.
Yep.
And because it's got like that nice, it's a square queen. It's got that square at the front, and it's just like very stable. And I'm like, that's what I need today.
I love that. So you've probably changed my mind that I need to at least get another pair of shoes.
I recommend people have at least 2 shoes.
Yeah, exactly. Just to change up, because it probably fits into the repetitive. Like injuries can happen because of repetitive motion, right?
I'm sure there are a lot of people who have gotten injured wearing the wrong shoe or wearing a shoe too long. I think that's more
too long. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
People just like they come. I remember I was working at the running shoe store. People would come in. They'd be like, "Oh, I bought this shoe 5 years ago." And I'd be like, "Oh no."
Exactly. Repetitive shoe wearing.
Yeah.
That's the.
Just slamming your foot into the ground on a dead piece of foam wearing.
Yes, exactly.
That's probably a lot of it.
It's a new mechanism of injury.
Yeah, but okay. So
this is great.
New Balance 880 is our shoe we choose to use. This has been great, Ed.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been fabulous to have you on the show. Let's plug your physical therapy company. So why don't you let everyone know where they can find you, socials, website, name. If you want to drop a phone number, go for it. Promote yourself.
Okay, here we go. It's I'm Ed Regner, doctor of physical therapy with Drive Physical Therapy, a mobile private pay PT business that I started last year. I live in Plymouth, but I see patients on the Cape and up in the South Shore region. And like I said, I'm mobile, so I come to you, to your house, your work, your gym, wherever you want, and just work one-on-one with me. And if you want to give me a call, my number is 508-992-7905. Email is ed, just ed, at driveptma.com. And then you can find me on Instagram and Facebook if you just look up Drive Physical Therapy. I'm putting up my new 2025 resolution for the business was to be more present on social media. So I'll have like little nuggets on there for tips and tricks to kind of stay healthy and hopefully prevent injury.
Yeah. I think that'd be great.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah, I'll put all that information down in the description below. So if you're watching on YouTube, or actually, you can actually watch the podcast now on Spotify, the podcasting platform.
You can watch it?
Yes, wow. They just changed it now.
Okay.
You can watch this episode on a podcasting app now.
Okay. I'm gonna download that.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
So I've replaced, not everything on our Spotify app for me is the video right now, but the most recent ones will be.
Okay, great.
So that's very exciting. But that description, episode description, either in your podcasting app of choice or YouTube will have Ed's contact information in it, and his website and everything else. So if you're wondering how to connect with Ed, you can either rewind about 30 seconds or just head to the description down below, and we will let you guys hit it up and hopefully just blow them out of the water with business. You never know.
Yeah. I'm available.
You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you'd like to get in contact with me, I always try to say like us, but I'm the only one who's behind this whole thing. I'm like us, which is me.
Yeah.
You can reach me at runnahpod@gmail.com. You can also find me on TikTok and Instagram at runnahpod. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the show. Leave us a rating and review. We love it. Hit that like notification if you're here on YouTube. Subscribe, all the things, do them.
Yeah,
bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
But it was great to have you, Ed.
Thank you. It's been great to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Well, having me. I thank you for coming. I said that
I'll do an interview on you shortly.
Yeah, we'll do a little follow-up interview. So go ahead and follow Ed on social media if you want to see a little follow-up interview. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And it was great. And friends, we will see you guys on the next episode. I'm really screwing this up. The next episode of Runnah. That's fine. I keep most of like the little like blips in there because it adds personality.
It's
more fun.
It's realistic, right?
It's more fun.
Right. Yeah.